Welcome back. Time for a look at sports. Rich Rodriguez's Mountaineer football program had to sit idle this bowl season, and one knows the West Virginia head coach doesn't want that to happen again. Changes are taking place. You could say Rodriguez is laying it on the line this offseason, and that includes hiring a new offensive line coach who is no stranger to Mountaineer football. Rick Trickett is set to make his third stop at WVU. Trickett was last a part of the Mountaineer staff during Rodriguez's first go-round as WVU's head coach. Trickett was on the staff from 2001 through 2006 and then left for Florida State to serve under the late Bobby Bowden, who once upon a time led WVU's program for 6 seasons. Trickett had first worked at WVU in the late 70s. West Virginia is one of 11 Division I schools in which he has been a part of during his outstanding career. He's also had 2 stints at Glenville State University as the head coach and as an assistant. Rodriguez and Trickett were last together at Jacksonville State. Where does time go? It's a question asked often as the years slip away. Wednesday is New Year's Eve Day, and it marks the 50-year anniversary of the Bobby Bowden-led Mountaineers defeating North Carolina State 13-10 at Fulton County Stadium in the 1975 Peach Bowl. The matchup with NC State was a rematch of the 72 Peach Bowl won by the Wolfpack. Several area players were a part of the team, including Hurricane High product Steve Lewis, who was a talented wide receiver as a Mountaineer. Lewis finds it hard to believe that Wednesday marks 50 years since he started as a sophomore there in Atlanta for the Mountaineers.
You know, I don't feel my age, but yeah, it's people ask me about things like that from time to time, and I absolutely would go back and do it all over again because it was just a very special time and a lot of special people. You make such good friendships with your teammates and your coaches and everybody involved with the program.
Lewis says it was a thrill to be a part of that day as WVU knocked off a team guided by Lou Holtz, but it was also bittersweet as it proved to be Bowden's last as WVU's head coach. Lewis played his final 3 seasons for the late Frank Signetti. And there is a big-time tie in the college football playoffs to both Signetti and the Mountaineer football program. Kurt Signetti, a former WVU quarterback and the late Frank Signetti's son, will have his Indiana Hoosiers going against Alabama on New Year's Day in the Rose Bowl. Lewis has fond memories of playing for Signetti at WVU and of a young Kurt Signetti.
I used to throw footballs with him. He was just a little kid up there at Morgantown and loved to come up and mingle with the guys and everything. And I've always loved kids and interacting with them. But yeah, that's I'm just really happy to see that because it's truly in the bloodline.
Pretty neat indeed. An area official had a great career moment in his college football bowl season. South Charleston Stephen Robinson served as the referee for the First Responders Bowl game at Gerald Ford Stadium in Dallas on Friday. The contest featured Florida International and the University of Texas San Antonio. Robinson has been an official in the state for many years. He works regular season games for the Sun Belt Conference in addition to doing high school football and basketball. This is his 3rd season in Division I football. He's a graduate of Beckley Woodrow Wilson High School, West Virginia State, and Marshall. Our congrats to Stephen Robinson on this wonderful honor. High school basketball team sneaking in one more game before the new year arrives, and Herbert Hoover and Sissonville getting together tonight. Riley Johnson goes up and scores 2 for the homestanding Huskies of Herbert Hoover. Sissonville now on the attack, and they'll work it around, and Charlie Johnson will nail the 3. So Johnson and Johnson scoring. You get it going here for the Huskies and the Indians, respectively. Then Jake Atkins going to get it to Riley Johnson, who will then find Sam Key, and Key puts it in. 2-point game, and that's how this one finishes. 34-32, Hoover on top. It's New Year's Eve basketball at the Cam Henderson Center on Wednesday. The Thundering Herd of Marshall playing Sunbelt game number 2 of the season, going up against the Panthers from Georgia State. The Thundering Herd dropping that first game of the season in Sunbelt play to Troy. Georgia State comes in 1-1 in the conference. Game time at the Cam is set for 4 o'clock. And while the Marshall men's team will close out the year 2025, Julie Folks' women's squad will be ringing in the new year. Marshall playing at Coastal Carolina 3:30 on New Year's Day. And the Mountaineer men's basketball team has a dandy right out of the gate in Big 12 Conference play to start the new year. Ross Hodges' team will be in Ames, Iowa Friday evening to go up against a number 3 team in the country in Iowa State. That game is set for 9 o'clock and will air on ESPN2. And that will do it for this edition of Eyewitness Sports. And we welcome you back here to Friday Night Football Extra, brought to you by the Thornhill Auto Group. I'm Mark Martin. Great to have all of you with us. One team that won tonight was the Nitro Wildcats. We know that would make one individual quite happy. As most of you know, we lost a very special friend earlier this week in Kenny Bass. For 28 football seasons, I spent time in this studio on Friday nights with Kenny. Last season, just Kenny and I handled the duties most of the way. After taking a new job, there was still hope Kenny might return upon occasion this fall. But as we know, that wasn't meant to be. It's hard to put into words what Friday nights meant to me with Kenny on board. It was a fun ride. This year I decided to leave the area vacant in the studio where Kenny stood on Friday nights. Tonight we salute Kenny by returning to his old spot. And remember just a few of the countless highlights he called with that great Kenny sense of humor. Many times having us in tears with his clever sayings. It's been a tough week and will be for some time. Kenny, you will forever be missed. Friday Night Football Extra and high school football Friday nights will never be the same. Kenny, take it away.
Saw a big rivalry last night, the battle for the hatchet, and now one a little bit closer to home. The Battle of the Bridge, Nitro and St. Albans. St. Albans has owned this rivalry through the years, but the Wildcats hoping to chip away at that lead in the all-time series. The Red Dragon visitors bringing a big crowd on hand tonight. It's the Wildcats' Eli Littlejohn who scores the opening touchdown. Nitro has a 7-rip lead in the second quarter as he gets around and into the end zone. Nice running there. Muhammad with the ball. Trey Simpkins makes a run for it. He slips through the defense, and they are not going to get him. Call his own number, and they're not going to stop him into the end zone. Touchdown. Wayne Pioneers running onto the field as they take on the Scott Skyhawks. First quarter, Pioneers with the ball. This is Fisher Fry looking to pass, and he goes way up top. Connects with Ronnie Staley for the first down. Very nice grab. Well done, young man. Wayne knocking at the door. Caden hating. Oh, they're hating on him because he finds an opening and he runs it in for the touchdown. And that set the tone for the evening. Foreshadowing. That means things are going to go well for Wayne. Chapmanville hosting the Grizzlies. Here's one of the Dalton gang. Dakota Dalton for Chapmanville. He's got all the time in the world. That's a good thing because Austin Adkins was running the whole way. I think I could leisurely walk in the park. Second quarter tied at 14. Huntington Devontae Crawford and Jamari Tubbs.
Wow.
46 yards, not too shabby. That's down to the SV7. Crawford wants to go again, but the other team's quarterback must go down hard. Garrett Wagoner, responsible for the 7-yard loss with the sack that backs him up to the 13. Bring on Jordan Price.
Beautiful shot of Ohio Valley Bank Track and Field Stadium here on the campus of Point Pleasant High School for our GoMart Friday Night Rivals Game of the Week presented by Glenville State University. Jan Deals is proud to sponsor the streaming of tonight's F&R game on Facebook and YouTube. Injured in a car wreck? Call Jan Deals, attorneys at law. We won't take no for an answer. This drive, 10 plays, 44 yards. Big Blacks with the football. Trying to punch it in here. Fell to the Dragons of Fairland last week. So playing an Ohio team for the second straight week. Hill gets the call, and Hill fights his way, and Hill did he get in? He did. Well, they pushed him back. He fought, the Blue Devils fought, and in the end, Hill is victorious. Mason Meadows gave it everything he had, but Caden Hill, the senior leading quarterback, takes it in for the Point Pleasant Big Blacks. They are on the board first here in Mason County. Third down situation here for the Blue Devils. Kennedy has time across the middle. Open man, touchdown, Gallia Academy, and a flag comes out. The snap. Hill gets it away, and boy, he puts some lead into that one, and Shelton picks it up, and he denies one would-be tackler, and here is Shelton racing down the sideline. No flags. Shelton will score. I'm Mark Martin, and we welcome you back here to the Saturday Sports Showcase. Great to have you along on this third Saturday in November. It was championship day Thursday for volleyball on the high school scene of West Virginia as the three-day state tournament came to a close. After guiding the program of George Washington High School to great success through the years on the volleyball court, Missy Smith decided to come back home to Herbert Hoover High School and lead her alma mater, where she's won state titles on the softball diamond. On Thursday, her Huskies met up with Shady Spring for the Class AAA state championship. And when you use the term epic battle, that is exactly what this was between the Huskies and Tigers, who entered the 8-team field as the number 1 and number 2 seeded teams respectively. After Shady took the first set 25-23, Hoover came back and captured the next two at 25-12 and 25-19. But the Tigers wouldn't go away and claimed the fourth set 25-21. Forcing the fifth and decisive set, which Hoover pulled out by a final of 15-13. It was the 55th win of the season for the Huskies. Smith said all the championships have been special, and this was certainly no exception.
I wasn't leaving to go just anywhere, so the chance for me to come home, and I knew this team was really good and had a chance to be special. And from the day we started in June, they took everything I threw at them as a challenge and then met me head on, and that's what sent us over the top today, their heart and their grit.
Congrats to the Huskies. The Class Single A Championship featured Little Kanawha Conference schools Wirt County and Gilmer County for the crown. Wirt was the number 1 seed of 8 teams, while Gilmer came in at number 2. After 2 victories earlier in the week, the rivals battled for Single A supremacy, and it would be Wirt coming out on top in 4 sets. Wirt won the first set 25-19, dropped the second 25-23, and then the Tigers of head coach Katie Frazier took the last 2 by scores of 25-12 and 25-10. It was the second for Wirt County under the guidance of Katie Frazier, whose mother, Janet, guided Tiger teams to 10 titles during her illustrious career. Wirt finished with 33 wins, while Gilmer ended a great season with 37 victories. Also this week at the state tournament, Morgantown defeated Hedgesville for the Quad A title, while Philip Barber downed Wheeling Central in Class AA. Both scores were 3-1. Sunbelt men's soccer semifinal action, a state rivalry. The Thundering Herd and the Mountaineers scoreless till the second. Carl Romberg, first goal of the match in the 47th minute, and this game would be a battle throughout the night. Marshall in overtime gets the victory and knocks off the Mountaineers. Marshall now going up against UCF. That will be in Huntington tomorrow afternoon. What a thrilling match between the Mountaineers and the Thundering Herd there on Wednesday night. Stay with us. When we return, we'll talk some basketball. That's straight ahead here on the Saturday Sports Showcase. It is homecoming Saturday at Jones C. Edwards Stadium. We'll take a look at the upcoming opponent, Texas State. Also, a look back at last week's big win against Old Dominion. Plus, you will meet Boogie Trotter, who is turning out to be an outstanding player this season for the Thundering Herd. And we go inside the huddle with the head coach of the Herd, Tony Gibson. It's all coming up next here on Marshall Football Today with Tony Gibson, presented by the West Virginia Lottery. It is Saturday number 3 in the month of October, a day in which Tony Gibson's Thundering Herd of Marshall will be looking for a homecoming victory against the visiting Bobcats from Texas State. Game time is 3:30 at Jones C. Edwards Stadium in Huntington. I'm Mark Martin, and we welcome you into our latest installment of Marshall Football Today with Tony Gibson, presented by the West Virginia Lottery. Great to be back with you talking Thundering Herd football. Marshall is coming off a nice win last weekend over Old Dominion, which was just the second loss of the season for a very talented Monarch team, while Texas State suffered a double overtime defeat at the hands of the Troy Trojans. Both teams enter today's game at 3-3. Over the next half hour, we will discuss today's first ever meeting against the Bobcats with head coach Tony Gibson.